Hello, YouTube.com. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Eclipse and some other random Star Wars facts, news, and anything that you guys want to talk about in the chat. And today we're going to come back later on today. Rob will be with me later, and we're going to talk about the new Batman movie after he sees it tonight-ish. And we'll be back tonight with a Batman show if you guys want to come and talk about Batman, because I saw it last night. So I'll save my Batman talk until then. Today I got my buddy Chris all the way from Australia with me today. And
yes.
Yeah, if we don't have Rob doodling, gotta get an Australian. That's the only substitute for a doodling Rob, is what I always say, is an Australian. So there was a big I guess what's it called, X-Fire or something like that, article today about Star Wars Eclipse and what's going on there. Our buddy Bestman Bulletin has been fishing out that one for a long time. He more than anybody I know works the video game scoops like really, really good. There's a couple of other scoopers out there who pretend that they do the video game stuff, but it's just like, oh, I'm hearing there's gonna be a Knights of the Old Republic reboot. It's just like, yeah, okay, that kind of shit. Bestman Bulletin actually gets the shit. So I'm going to use Bestman Bulletin, because always use the best source. It doesn't matter if you're in high school, elementary school, college, whatever. Use the best source. And the best source I have for video games is Bestman Bulletin. He is a fellow squirter, not a leaker, a squirter. So we'll go with Bestman Bulletin's article first. I don't know if there's anything to glean from the other one, so maybe we'll look at both unless we get enough of it. But Star Wars Eclipse, looking to release in 2027 or 2028, reportedly still struggling to hire staff. So according to a reliable video game insider, and by the way, that was not any shade on Tom Henderson. I don't know anything about the video game industry, but I do know Tom Henderson is somebody that you don't fuck with. He knows his shit. So according to reliable video game insider and journalist Tom Henderson, Quantic Dream is reportedly struggling to hire staff to work on Star Wars Eclipse. Henderson, writing for X-Fire, reports that Quantic Dream is currently looking to hire 67 members of staff, 3 months from when the studio was looking to hire 60 staff members. Whoa, that doesn't sound right. I mean, not what they're saying, what Bestman's saying, but that sounds like a clusterfuck. According to X-Fire, the studio has been updating the publishing date shown on each of the job listings to make them appear more recent, meaning they're still likely unfulfilled positions dating back 3 months ago. Okay, so they have not been able to fill those positions. According to the report, the Eclipse trailer was debuted so early in hopes of attracting more staff to the studio, which seemingly hasn't gone to plan. At the time, Eclipse was reportedly looking at a potential release date in 2024. But according to Henderson, Eclipse is now looking towards 2027 or even 2020 fucking 8. Fuck that. I mean, come on, man. I could make my own High Republic video game by then. The delay, you'd assume, is due to the studio reportedly being unable to attract talent needed for the job. Just fucking cancel the game. I mean, at this point, just cancel it. Anyways, it's also been previously reported by Henderson that the studio has faced issues with the QD engine, as the QD engine's architecture was apparently built for more confined levels with smaller areas to explore with a limited number of AI. Eclipse is apparently going to be multi-planet exploring title with open world elements, and the QD engine, according to the report, doesn't work for such an ambitious title. And apparently, this is one of the reasons the studio was looking to be acquired. Henderson's claim that the studio is also having issues with multiplayer, which is rumored to be part of Eclipse, as the studio has never attempted to make a title with multiplayer elements before. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. One source of Henderson's suggested that one of the reasons the trailer for Eclipse was shown so early wasn't just to attract talent to the studio, but to attract potential buyers of the studio. And this rumor right here that Henderson is reporting, that's a thing that's like going around. I've heard that too, but I don't know if that's like general video game stuff. So I'm not trying to
Yeah.
interject myself into the story as oh, I heard that too. I'm not trying to be that fucking guy, but that is something I have heard said many times. It's previously been rumored that since Quantic Dream's 3-game deal with Sony ended, the studio has been looking to get acquired, and pitches were made to several publishers. Henderson previously mentioned in a YouTube video that QD were unable to secure an acquisition deal due to alleged bad workplace environment, putting it mildly. And if you're unfamiliar with the allegations, and I strongly suggest you read them here, along with misogynistic and homophobic comments made by Quantic Dream executive David Cage. Comments we here at Bestman Bulletin do not agree with or support. Yeah, we know that, Bestman. You don't gotta say it. We know. If you want to keep up to date with the latest leaks, news, reputable rumors, I like that. That's a nice one right there because that makes sense. And my exclusive reports, be sure to and support Bestman Bulletin for all of his hard work. But yeah, that sounds like it is not. I mean, 2020. I mean, like basically, like what is this? You know what I mean? Like when you get down to it,
Like
yeah,
we don't even know if we're gonna be alive in 2027 for all the war and shit that's happening. Like I don't know, wait bloody 7 years, 6 years, for 5 years for a Star Wars game. It's just ridiculous. I mean, the trailer,
Lucasfilm should pull it. Lucasfilm should pull it and either give it to someone else or just do something else.
I mean, the trailer was pretty epic. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not fuck waiting 6 years, 5 years for a game, man.
But the trailer was in no way indicative of any game that we're getting.
No, not at all.
At all. It was made. I can't remember who made it now, but another company made it using assets that they had laying around and stuff like that. You know. And then, oh yeah, we'll also talk about a Mando casting update from Bespin too, because yeah, Bespin's on fire today. Bespin's working.
Bespin, I always reply to his stories, and he always leaves me on scene. So me and him have some beef right now, but I still love him.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't. He's pretty smart. He doesn't actually interact with people on social media very directly, because it's a losing battle. There's just no reason for it. Hey, Neil became a channel member. Thanks, Neil. I appreciate that. Everyone who is a channel member, I completely appreciate the support. It means a lot. And by all means, please, if you can, please do. On certain days, we have members only chat, and I try not to do, because I understand that some people can't do it. You know, and if you guys send me a really good message, I will get it on the show. If you can't be a channel member and it's a really good message, I'll totally like read it on the show. I'm not trying to like, you know, make it where anybody who can't afford it right now, can't participate. I don't want to do that. But also, if you want exclusive audio versions of the show instead too, that's on our Patreon. So you can become a Patreon supporter. And please like the video. As Rob always reminds you, another way to support the show is just to let the whole video play, to let the whole thing go, because then it gets referred, and that helps too.
And support Bestman too.
And for Bestman too. And check out Bestman's podcast if you are a podcast person. Bob, the Bob podcast. It's a good show. I like it. It, in my opinion, is in no way referential to anything I've done, but it is of the same cloth that I think things should be cut from. Whereas you should just be yourself and two buddies talking about Star Wars legitimately, authentically, not like it's school. Some of these people, I get it if you're doing like a history, if like you're doing true crime or history or something like that, like, definitely go school. But when you're just talking about the day's news, and you don't need to kiss anybody's butt.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Kissing butt doesn't actually work either. I've seen them. I've seen the same people brown nosing for like almost 10 years now, and I'm like, what have you got from?
Yeah, it's got him nowhere.
Nowhere fast. And the best lifelong advice I ever got was from one Ferris Bueller, and I think he said something along the lines of, "I never trust an ass kisser." You know, that was the gist of it. And yeah, but anyways, to go back to this Quantic Dream game, yeah, if you, why would you make a deal with the studio who's like, yeah, and basically then we're gonna make a company and we're gonna sell our company and we're gonna make an engine to make the game and then we're gonna make the game and then the game's gonna come out
It's fucking stupid. It's ridiculous.
in the next era of Star Wars. I
Yeah.
mean, I gotta be honest with you. By 2028, we are going to have several seasons of live action High Republic content.
Yeah. And hopefully a few movies too.
Yeah, maybe a movie by the, like, it's this it just seems stupid to me. And if there's another studio that is just ready to go, who can make a Star Wars game for you and have it out within a very reasonable turnaround. I'm going to say 3 years is reasonable from signing date to completion.
Yep.
Go with them. You know, and I you know, after the year I've had with like fucked up false allegations and stuff like that, I'm a little bit like, I don't know what to think about the Quantic Dream stuff. I don't know. I'm to the point where I'm just like, I don't know, but that shit does sound like it's not a company that is going to survive. It doesn't sound like it's a company that is in a healthy place in terms of its culture and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just cut your losses.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what the game truly was. There was no official announcements about anything with it. So unless there's some weird part of the deal that we don't understand, I mean, the name isn't even good. It sounds like a fucking gum.
Yeah.
Eclipse is a fucking gum. You know what I mean? So like, you know, go and make Star Wars bubble gum with somebody else somewhere else. It's I don't understand why it's so fucking hard just to get Star Wars video games made. Just go to a company who's ready to go.
Yeah. Hopefully, Jedi Fallen Order comes out soon, and we can forget about this bullshit. Because I'm not waiting 6 years for this shit, man. I mean, the trailer was cool, but nah, man, I'm done. I don't even care about the project anymore. Like 5-6 years, nah, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, and that's that. I mean, just not to. I'm not being one of those guys that says Kathleen Kennedy's fired or she quit or any of that stuff. Not going there. But who even knows what Disney's going to look like? Who's going to be there? They may just be like, no, we're just not doing video games now. We're taking a, you know, who knows what that's going to be at that point. Yeah, fuck it.
Fuck it.
Just cut it. Just cut it. And I mean, you've canceled better games like Ragtag. And I have a complete history. I mean, not a history of the drama, but a history of the what the game was and the story on this channel that nobody watched, which I suggest people do watch. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know why this one is getting to hang about, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. We're not gonna play this game. It's gonna be cancelled in, you know, maybe a year or two. But yeah, no, this game's not coming out. I don't see it coming out.
Well, I mean, look at what it hinges now on a new engine being developed or purchased. I'm not sure how that goes or how that would play, but it hinges on one of those two things. And that I just don't really, I mean, like, what if that engine is crap? What if what if the fact, like, what if they're making the engine up against this game that needs to come out, so the engine's not done right? Because what was the one for Battlefront Frostbite? It was no good.
Yeah,
that wasn't ready or something. I don't know what it was, but it's something about it was just not right. It just didn't. And I remember just still, like, whenever a game's made on Frostbite, if I minimize my Xbox, or like my Xbox goes to sleep and I go, you know, make some coffee and I come back and I wake it up, like the menus are all playing fast and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, so.
And by like 2027, 2028, like the PS6 should be out, the new Xbox should be out. Like, what what are we doing? Like, we're not really going to wait for this game. Like, it's not happening. Like, it's
Yeah.
just not going to happen. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
No,
wrong.
and there were elements in that trailer of things that were just made for other Quantic Dream games that never happened as well. Like, and then the trailer was made by another company. So we are waiting on and hoping for something that actually doesn't exist
Yeah,
and
exactly.
never has. It was that was just selling an idea.
Exactly. Spot on.
So
As the article says, like, they made the trailer to get a potential buyer. So it's nothing to do with any sort of gameplay. It doesn't resemble anything, but it's more of a pitch than anything.
yeah, not to go off the deep end and just be like the controversy, like ambulance chaser type. But I mean, in a weird way, I kind of feel a little almost used that they were using my love of Star Wars and as a fan to slang their company.
Yeah.
Fuck
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
Pull it, just end it. You know what I mean? Like I don't care if the I mean David Cage, which is it was not his real name. That's just some like made up Mortal Kombat name he gave himself,
Yeah.
by the way. But I don't care if he's a bad guy or a good guy. I don't want to be. I don't want my love of Star Wars to be used to make some other person money. Fuck him. Fuck the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it's time for them to just move it somewhere else. Just
Well, if they're struggling to get staff, it's nothing's going to happen. So it's
yeah.
dead in the what did dead on arrival.
Yeah, which is in a weird way that's kind of surprising to me. And I don't mean and people who want to be dramatic will be like, "Oh my god, like of course because people in the video game industry have standards." But I actually don't believe that. People need to eat. People need to have bills. I'm
Sure.
just kind of surprised there's not people like, "Oh, you know what? I need to get in the industry and or I really just need a job." Like I'm surprised they're almost not like the scab equivalent of people just filling the positions to make it happen. But maybe they're realistic enough to know that if they do that, if they don't get the best people, it's not going to happen. Maybe they
Yeah.
just are
Exactly.
aware of that, and that's why they can't fill it. Because I'm not pretending to understand the ins and outs of the gaming industry. I know stuff about it because I play video games and because friends do and stuff, but I'm not like, on Kotaku 5 times a day looking at what the newest rumors are and stuff or whatever, or,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
We'll leave that to Bespin. He knows what's up.
Yeah, yeah. So that's exactly where I'm going with this. But let's look really quickly at the other source, the main source of this, and this is the Tom Henderson article for xfire.com. And yeah, it just says after the well-received announcement, it reported that sources familiar with Quantic Dream's plans have said the title was a minimum of at least 3 to 4 years away. So there's more of that. Why was the game announced early? Its strategy they were increasingly seeing becoming more common in the industry, with several studios, including Bethesda, Elder Scrolls, Rockstar Games, Grand Theft Auto, Electronic Arts, Star Wars IPs, all making game announcements years before the titles would be released. Yeah, so that's kind of a thing. Sources close to Quantic Dream have told me that even though the trailer was released to an extremely favorable reception from the wider gaming community, and it certainly does look stunning, it has not had the desired effect of attracting developer talent to the studio. So, yeah. Oh, okay, and then they have some pictures of the listings and stuff like that. And this is what Bestman was talking about, how they're basically relisting them or making them look like they're newer, but they're the same old jobs. So yeah, that does not look good.
Yeah, I really don't want this to be a trend of getting a trailer like 6 years before the project comes out. Like, fuck that, man. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck getting a trailer 6 years, from the release of a game or a film. Nah, I'm not about that.
Yeah, me either. I would rather, if they were developing and actively working on a masterpiece such as Red Dead Redemption, Star Wars, and it takes them 10 years, you know what? I'll wait. I'll
Yeah.
fine. I mean, I have no choice but to wait, obviously. But
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like, but you know what? We're going to take 3 years to develop an engine for our company. We're probably going to sell our company, and at that point, no. And there's just so many variables that could crash the game. when they sell the company might they sell it to might change it around, might decide, you know what, we're going to go a different direction with the game now. Like it just sounds like it's going to be development hell, or it's already in development hell. So that squirter Bespin Bulletin has Jim O'Hare. Jim, I would have called this article Jim O'Heir to the Empire. Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about that, huh? Got you, Bespin. Got you. Just kidding. Jim O'Heir cast in The Mandalorian season 3. And during a recent released episode of actor Rob Lowe and writer Alan Yang's Parks and Recreation podcast, Jim O'Heir appeared as a guest where the three reminisce on specific episodes of Parks and Recreation, the work O'Heir is probably best known for. And so, yeah, here's the quote. "Oh, shoot, I don't know if I'm allowed to say where I am. I can say a state. I'm in a state, New Mexico. I don't know." Before the host Lowe chimed in and said, "I will say, Jim, I know what you're working on, and it rhymes with the latest installment of Bar Wars." So, yeah. So I love that guy. He's hilarious. As the butt of the jokes in Parks and Rec, the low guy on the totem pole. I am curious. I have not heard the audio firsthand yet. I wanted to, but I didn't get around to it. But I am curious if he really truly means that they're filming in New Mexico. Are they really filming in New Mexico? Or is he joking that he's on Tatooine and yeah, it's like New Mexico out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, or is that was the code for the planet New Mexico or something like that? But I mean, it could be. They could be out there filming stuff on location. I know that I've heard after Book of Boba, they have some better ideas about the volume, the limitations, what really didn't work, what did work.
Yeah.
And with new volumes being constructed, they're going to be making some more, like their fucking Death Stars, more volumes, and they're going to be made out in Manhattan Beach, but I don't think they've done it yet. And it's supposed to bring a lot of work to the area when they do. And but that said, I've heard that they were going to be using more location shooting for some of these shows too, because of the fact that they have so much going on down there and not enough space.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that that's what they're doing, and I'm all for it because it does start to look the same.
Yeah,
it does starts to look the same and starts to feel the same. Yeah, and you want the shows to look fresh and new, and like I believe Kenobi did some of that. So Jedi Mike says subs mode is appreciated. We understand the need to go member mode. Laugh out loud. Hopefully May the 4th. Yeah, totally. I like I said, I appreciate people who can support the show, and if I could get this show up to, like I watch like another Star Wars show, and I'm not throwing shade. I'm proud of anybody else who has a Star Wars show that is earning a living off of it. You see that the people and they're pulling in like a couple $1,000, and I'm just like, fuck, if I just made $100 a day, I'd be so happy with my life doing this, hanging out with you guys talking about Star Wars all day and just being able to get the bills paid. Oh, that'd be great.
Life. Yeah.
That's the dream. So yeah, but thanks, Mike. Yeah. And yeah. And I figure a sub is the least amount that somebody should be willing to give to talk and hang out with us. So, and have a good community, because we have a great community right now.
People,
that's
sure.
Yeah, like with Star Wars Meg and Star Wars Santa, and and everyone in the chat, like all you guys are fantastic. And it is, I gotta say, after all of these years of doing this and being involved, it's good to know that there's actually good people, good people out there that are doing Star Wars content. Because I have been so burned. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I have been so burned in the past, and it's nice to have the people I have around me now, I know are with me when I'm down or with me when I'm up. That means a lot. It means a lot to me. It's very nice. Dale, channel member, thank you, Dale. I'll see the Batman on TV when it comes on. Yeah, I don't want to jump too far into Batman talk because I want to wait for Rob, but Yeah, I have a lot to say on it, and I think it's going to be a good discussion tonight. So, Dale, you might not want to watch it unless you just don't care about spoilers. In which case, you'll hear our take, and then when you see it, you could be like, "You guys are idiots. You guys had it all wrong." Um, Jedi Mike says, "And the source that quotes and works with you."
Hey, Jess, if you go back in that article that Bespin posted,
Yeah.
I think he posted a photo of Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she's shooting. Is she shooting Mando? Like, is she?
Yes. Yeah.
She
So I
is.
was gonna. Yeah, I believe this is probably for Star Wars. I'm not sure if we have 100% confirmation on that. Because Bryce, she doesn't take my calls after our tumultuous relationship that we had, and a lot of things were said, a lot of feelings were hurt. I was just like, I think you should wear shoes in the Jurassic Park movie. It doesn't make sense when you do all that in high heels. And she
Sure.
refused to talk to me.
That's
No,
nice.
no, it does look like she's filming something for Star Wars. The only thing I'm aware of her, I'm not like the Bryce Dallas Howard fan club watching her IMDb constantly what she has on the
Sure.
slate. But the thing I'm interested in that she's doing outside of Star Wars is the Flight of the Navigator remake, and which, if you follow UFO stuff at all, was one of the movies that has it, like, according to what we're hearing, the reality of the UFO phenomenon is that thing had it completely right. Like, it's amazing. But she's supposed to be remaking that, and
Nice.
I haven't heard that started filming. I haven't heard anything about casting from that, so I have to assume this is for Mandalorian season
Well, that's
3.
good news then, because I really loved her episode
Yeah,
in Book of Boba. So that was the episode of the series for me. So yeah, more Bryce Dallas Howard Star Wars, the better, in my opinion.
yeah,
She really knocked it out, out of the park with her episodes.
yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I have heard more than one time about Book of Boba Fett now. When had dinner with sources in the industry and who work on Star Wars last night, and we were talking, and there's pretty much a consensus that at Lucasfilm they know Book of Boba Fett under delivered. A lot of people know, and I honestly felt like that was encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to them thinking their shit don't stink, because there have been times when they have massively fucked up and they think their shit don't stink, but their shit can stink, and it did on there was some, but her shit did not stink. She is a lady and she does not poop. When she makes Star Wars. Her Star Wars has been really good. I mean, the only like real critique I have of anything in Star Wars that she's done were the god awful costumes that the people in the village had in that first
Oh yeah.
episode she ever
Yeah.
did, because it
Episode
looked like
4.
It looked
Yeah.
like Star Trek: The Next Generation. I don't even know if that was her fault. She may
Yeah.
have that may have been a decision she had nothing to do with, but yeah, it just needed more variations and stuff like that. But when you look at Book of Boba and you look at her episode, and a lot of that was the fact that I said Sheev. I don't know why I said Sheev. I was looking at Sheev the Wise right here is why. He said hello there. No, look, Din Djarin is, in my opinion, just kind of a better character than Boba Fett. It's just kind of what it's come out to be. Surprising if you had told me that 10 years ago, that, I would be like, what? They made a Jaster Morel knockoff and you're saying he's better? Are you sure? That's
Yeah.
probably what I would have said. But
Yeah.
I really do think that's kind of where we ended up with
You still hate
everything.
his name though, don't you?
What?
You still hate his name though, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Din Djarin is it's another one of those times when it doesn't capture the George Lucas vibe of Star Wars. It captures somebody's Star Wars the role playing game session name. Like I wouldn't surprise me if in 10 years we hear that, oh, that was actually the character that Favreau used to play in the Star Wars role playing game or something. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Squirt did not replace Scoop. Squirt replaced Leaks, because Star Wars Leaks fucking sucks. The Reddit forum, that is. They do not care about the truth. They only care about gatekeeping. and they are gatekeeping themselves out of the best scoops for Kenobi. So fuck them. Fuck them. They ever want to make up and stop being stupid, by all means, I am open, but fuck them for now. Good afternoon, Santa. Not trying to get you in trouble. Spider-Man, how's it going, Spidey? Oh man, yeah, they revealed it way too early. I smell a what happened. Also, hello there. Yeah, is what happened is that's a YouTube show that covers video games, right? I seem to remember that being a thing. Well, that sucks. The trailer looks pretty good too. Yeah, I mean that's
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if we want to look at the silver lining of this whole thing, what is the silver lining? It's that we have visual evidence the High Republic era doesn't have to look bad. The High Republic era can look cool. They can do that. And I haven't felt like the visuals of the High Republic outside of that have really delivered for me.
Yeah.
They haven't captured my imagination. It hasn't made me go like, I want to see more of what that looks like. It's been just like, okay.
Are you looking forward to the show coming out, the new one with the
Ghostbusters Afterlife one? Yeah, what's it? Grammar Rodeo. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. My hope is that we get that announced on Disney Investor Day.
So that's the thing, huh? It's happening.
I think it's very well could. I mean, we only have two reasons to hold it, and that's Star Wars Celebration and Disney Investor Day. And I'll be honest with you, we were going over the scoop yesterday about the trailer rumor. Sorry guys, I can't talk today. The trailer rumor, and I was like, oh, somebody in the chat was like, oh, that's Disney Investor Day. I went and Googled it, and sure as hell it is. And I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense. This seems like it's very legit. And I am still of the there's no inside track on this or anything like that. I'm of the opinion that Rogue Squadron will not probably make that window of release that was first announced, and that it was on a sheet recently as being slated for that. So it would not surprise me if we got, look at this great Kenobi trailer, and look, we have this other show you guys never heard about. Everybody talk about this new show, and that Favreau is supposedly executive producing and overseeing, but we that may be the other Star Wars kind of announcement, because they obviously aren't going to be able to talk about this game that we're talking about today. That's not something to be like, hey everybody, Star Wars games are going to be good. That's going to be a great start investing in us because we're going to have all this video game cash. That ain't happening. And then I don't know what's up with what's the other one? What's the video game we were talking about earlier?
Fallen Order
2. Yeah, I mean Fallen Order 2, we pretty much have two possibilities, and that's Fallen Order 2 is announced on an Investor Day, or some details are given that it's about it officially. I don't know if there's even been any official details about it, but then the other possibility is Star Wars Celebration.
Bespin in the chat said that he expects it in late 2022, so he still thinks it's coming out this year, which I hope he's right. So yeah, there's a good chance we see that, or we wait until Celebration. But yeah, I think that will be announced very soon.
Yeah. So but they did hold that stuff back for Celebration last time. So my guess is Celebration, probably. You know what I mean? Was when we'll hear about that game. The benefit of being a channel member, Rob will insult you on stream regularly. that is true. And hello, Stater Stat. How's it going? Thanks for joining us today. And and Bespin, always, you are one of the realest dudes in this, and I appreciate you. And I appreciate the fact that you report enthusiastically but responsibly. You don't just go out there to make a splash knowing it's not true. It's a lot like what some people can do in this is a lot like telling your kids, I'm going to take you to Disneyland in 6 months. And the kids are like, yay. But they're not taking them to Disneyland in 6 months. You're just saying that. It's what they do because everything's always so far away. Then it doesn't happen. It's like, you don't want to do that. Bestman doesn't do that. That's why I love that guy. Spider-Man says game is going to come out by the time the High Republic ends. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like by the time it comes out, who's going to, like at that point, it's going to be like, yo, finally you're doing it. Mm-hmm. So still hearing Jedi Fallen Order sequel is aiming for late 2022. Okay, that's great. Yeah, so maybe so Celebration's in May, right?
Yeah.
So they'll probably, that would make sense. May 5th month, and then if they get out for Christmas, like that October-ish
November
video game window for the Christmas season, I can see that.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense actually. So Batu I thought he was saying the Batu mobile, like the Batmobile for a second. Jedi Mike says, Batu Bubble Blast is my favorite Star Wars gun. Oh, because Eclipse. Yeah, there will probably be new systems by then too. Yeah, right. I haven't even been able to get the current generation. Yeah, I'm probably gonna skip it at this point. By the time unless something changes and I just decide I need it now. But if we don't really get any Star Wars games that are really, and I'm curious about Jedi Fallen Order 2, is it going to be completely optimized for the next gen consoles? Or is it going to just be more of the same? Of course, it'll be better on the next gen one. It'll be better, but is it really going to be like, let's go drop $500 to $1,000 on a new system? Is it going to be that big of a thing? You know. Mark says, I would put money on it being revealed at Celebration. I think you should listen to Mark Hamilton. And Bestman says, that's what I've been hearing for months. So we all agree. So yeah, these are the Daves I know. These are the Daves I know, and all Daves agree. Celebration. That's when we hear about that one. And that pretty much means it's the only video game you should probably be anticipating at this point. I mean, in a weird way, I felt like Eclipse took away a lot of the wind out of the sails of Jedi Fallen Order 2 and the enthusiasm for that, And there's things I want to know about Jedi Fallen Order 2 because it's being developed like could we see these characters like Nari come into play in this story? If we have this character who's like looking for Kenobi for all these years and stuff like that, like could that stuff, might that stuff inform? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they don't talk to each other at all. I know if Rob is here, he would just be convinced no one's talking to anybody and nobody knows anything. But and he's probably right. He probably would be right if that's what he thinks. But I also kind of feel like there's the possibility that these things are trying harder, and if they are trying harder, maybe that's something that could happen because the Inquisitors were such a big part of that story.
I'm also interested in finding out if we follow Cal Kestis' story, or do we have another like a Jedi trying to find his way or her way in the galaxy? Like, it would be interesting to see if it's a brand new character or we continue his journey.
Yeah, I would actually pretty much be up for another Padawan story.
Yeah,
from a different angle, and then have Cal come in. You know what I mean? And be he a little bit more seasoned after the adventure of that game and take it from there. Yeah, that I wouldn't be upset about that. Because it's always weird when you look at it from like a story perspective in these kind of games. If you go and you pick up part 2 and then all your powers are reset and you have to just go unlock all your powers again, it always feels that just feels dumb to me. I can't remember if that's what happened. I think that's what happened with Force Unleashed, right? Force Unleashed 2. Where is it like kind of like, oh, now I'm weak again for some reason. Yeah, or something like that. And but Darth Del Rio says, can we get the guys that made the trailer to make a movie? I would pay to watch that. I'm always curious. Yeah, I mean they definitely should be cutting Star Wars trailers. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
they make beautiful trailers. But sometimes people, cutting a good trailer doesn't mean that they could hold on to a plot thread to save their life. Not saying that's these guys' case or these cats' case, but yeah, they definitely should be doing all of the video game trailers, and the games should be looking at that trailer going, this is what is getting people excited. This is what you need to be trying to strive for in terms of, and that's one of the things about video games that I never really disagreed with the Force Unleashed element of it. Like, Force Unleashed is ultimately a very stupid concept. It's the Mountain Dew Star Wars thing, right? I mean, oh, the powers are unleashed. You can do, but you know what's fun is to use the Force like you're a fucking maniac, throwing shit around and stuff like that. And
who doesn't want to do that? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it ultimately kills. It ultimately kills story opportunity if that's a normal thing that happens in the if everybody's Superman, nobody's Superman, right? Yeah. So it's like you really can do that in a video game. You can't do it in the stories, but in terms of like story elements and types of things that you can do in video games that would not work on the big screen, or that would maybe make Star Wars a little bit more common feeling, but that's where they should be doing that stuff. And that's why I actually like that trailer. I think that trailer would ultimately not make a good Star Wars movie, is my take. I know that's no one's going to like that, but I really don't think that stuff is so disconnected from anything. There's no continuity in that stuff to anything. Yeah. It's selling a broad idea and a vibe. But I agree with the vibe, if that makes sense. Yeah. Jedi Mike says, I'm not a big video game player. My kids have Switch lights. I'm a Royal Caribbean cruise fan, ready to talk. Legoland family entertainment options. Yeah, maybe that Star Wars cruise will be for you. I don't know. I'm not recommending it for myself. That's for sure. But it definitely I have 1 foot in the video game side of things and 1 foot in the let's just go to Disneyland and hang out with some Star Wars stuff. I'm not the hardest. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I've been on a Batman kick though. I've been playing Batman Arkham Knight, and I'm loving it. I really, really am. That game is so good. And like, as I'm playing it, I keep going like, this would have been the best Boba Fett game. This would have been the best Mando game. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I know. Missed opportunities. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they can get it right. I mean, that 13-13 game, I hope it happens one day.
Yeah. Yeah. That Arkham series is probably in a weird way almost what 13-13 could have become.
Yeah. So much potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I do not understand the gaming industry, so I do not understand what the fucking problem is. Like, it's like these games, they all have like fun mechanics and they struggle for good design. Star Wars is handing you most of the design like elements and the stuff to riff on. Like, I don't understand why they can't do it. Spider-Man says they say 2027, but I'm convinced it will be even farther away if they stick with the project. We ain't seen Eclipse ever. And that's my take too. I just, but I'm gonna bounce. This whole thing is bumming him out. All right, Spidey. I understand. Bye, Spidey. Spidey's been gone for a while, but I understand. But yeah, Jedi Mike, making Star Wars. That's always been a funny part of like when the crazies will come after me from either side. There's crazies on both sides. Remember the old adage, there's heroes on both sides?
Yeah.
It was in the Star Wars community, there's crazies on both sides. And but it's always been funny that like when they would come after me like with the shield stuff, it's like, I'm releasing their spoilers. You understand that's not what they dreamed
to have happen.
It's weird. Yeah, they fucking hate me. Yeah. So it's I know Mike is joking, but it does. It's always cracked me up. I've just always been like, man, you just can't convince some people of anything.
Yeah.
Hi, Max. Miss you, Max. I hope you could come hang out pretty soon. You know, nepotism sucks. Yeah, it does. Um, Stoked for BDH directing again. Yeah, me too. Me too. I hope that we are, we are seeing somebody who is really going to come into directing in a really big way. This might not be the best example, but in certain ways, just because of her like proximity to the industry, I feel like she could become like almost like the Star Wars equivalent of a Penny Marshall, who was like from Laverne and Shirley, and then eventually is like making movies like Big and is making just fantastic films.
Yeah.
And and because I mean she's been around the industry, she knows it, and I'm not somebody who believes that because your dad was a good director, you will be one. That's actually mostly
She's
not
proven
true.
that she
But
can.
she can direct, yeah, as a craft and a skill, she has it, and she's a very competent actor, and I think a competent actor ultimately probably can find directing chops if they need to and they enjoy it,
100%. I do think
So
she'll direct a movie one day, though. A Star Wars movie.
yeah. Yeah. And Bespin did say in January that she signed on to direct Mando 3 episodes. That is a fact, Jack. And yeah, and in no way belittling it. But it's like, of course she did. At this point, I'm curious if she is going to be on Star Wars Ahsoka, because I do think that that would be a very good place for her to go, would be on to Ahsoka. We haven't really heard very much about how Ahsoka is being being made. I mean, I know it's a Filoni joint, and I think Filoni is the main primary writer on it, and that makes me think Filoni will be directing key episodes to it, most likely.
Safe bet.
That's a safe assumption. It's fan math, but it's an assumption. And then, but at the same time too, how many episodes is it? Is it a sixer, an eighter, a 12er,
7 like Boba,
a 3er like me? I mean, no, sorry, too much. No, but yeah, you know what I mean. It could go either way. So yeah, Bryce is cool. Bryce is doing a good job. I mean, anybody who I gotta say too. I don't Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, don't get me started.
I know I'm like of the opinion, like the only way I hope he does more is if he realizes he needs to step it up and he's like thirsty for it, and comes in and brings like this crazy A game. But I feel like he had his chance, and
All killer, no filler, Jason.
yeah, so give it to people like the Howard. But at the same time too, also be realistic. She has done a few episodes and they've been good.
Yeah.
When we get another one and another one, that's when we're like, okay, give this person a Star Wars film.
Yeah,
that's when we are there. But until then, like somebody does one good one, okay, two good ones, looking good, three good ones, all right, and then move on from there, but yeah. And Mark Hamilton asks multiple, and Bespin says maybe she was filming an episode in January and she's filming again now. So that usually is a pretty good sign for the most part. I remember like there were potentially reasons for that. Like I remember like seeing Taika around for more than one episode, but also he voiced the character. So maybe that has to do with why, for what it's worth. But Rick Jones says Bryce's dad is a high degree Freemason. Wonder if she is too. Whoa. For Freemasons it's a fascinating thing. She said Din was a legit name I used in RPGs back in the day. Laugh out, right? I mean, yeah, I'm not knocking it like as something that we would all come up with. It's just it's just like it's not a name like you want to call him. Like you want to call him the Mando instead, because you don't want to say that name, You know, like I would almost rather they had gone, and I suck, but I would have. I mean, if his name was like Zap or something, you know, Flash Jackson, something cool, you know, give him a cool name, you know. But yeah, Mark Hamilton says the High Republic Jedi look like they're about to be raptured. Yeah, they definitely look like they're about to show up behind MC Hammer as his choir in a music video or something, you know. MC Hammer goes to space. Dell says mobile instructions, close chat, like video, open chat. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, do it. Do it. And oh yeah, and I will post the how to become a channel member link right now too. If somebody was, I think somebody was asking for it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, post that.
And so I put that in the comments there. And so if you need it, you can just click that. Because for some reason they make it hard to do on mobile. I don't know why. So Sheev said, I thought I heard we might get a Fallen Order 2 announcement on May 4th. So yeah, I am always super, super pessimistic about May 4th. Lucasfilm used to have this survey system called Obi Wants to Know Me. And I'm not kidding when I say that they must have done 4 or 5 surveys about, do you feel that May 4th is getting played out and it's just about consumerism? Some version of that. They did that multiple times. And it goes to show you how they see it, what they're afraid of. How far can we go? Are we going too far? Is what they were. And this was years ago now. That hasn't been active in a while. But when you look at the history of May the 4th, Bad Batch happened one time. And after that, you got some t-shirt coupon codes, maybe. Right? Am I wrong about that? Am I misremembering?
I remember 2020 May 4th, so 2 years ago coming up, they announced the Taika movie.
Oh, that's never going to happen either, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong.
Man, that logo is so cool. I always harp on about that logo. I just want to see some like first Jedi, like thousands of years ago. Like I just want to see something different. But yeah, like you said, Jace, I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that was based on Ben-Hur, so I feel like it's a gladiatorial arena kind of story about somebody who that's my guess. That's my speculation. But is that, you know, it's about some kind of arena and the people who like a Black Chrysanthemum kind of situation. Is that how you say it? Is it Black Chrysanthemum? Am I saying it wrong? I can't remember.
I think
something like that. Yeah. Johannes, channel member, thank you. Imagine the Kenobi trailer is him walking across the desert giving a monologue. I know that's what I was on Star Wars Santa's show this morning. Oh, and Hell Satan, Hell Santa. One time Star Wars Satan was in Santa's show, and Star Wars Santa was like, "Not today, Satan." I thought it was pretty funny. But when it comes to that trailer, like you could speculate on what it's going to be or how it's going to go, and part of me can see it just being really lame and like it's just Kenobi out in the desert and everybody gets just excited because it's the Kenobi trailer, and it gets the word out and it does what it's supposed to like do. And but I hope it's more than that. I hope it brings in all the bells and whistles and cliches.
Well, regarding the trailer, I feel more confident now that it's coming on the 9th with the Investor Day. I think that scoop that you posted yesterday is turning out to be, or will turn out to be legit. So well done on that, Jace. I also think it won't be a full like 2:30 trailer. Like usually trailers go between 2:20 and 2:30. Movie trailers, I think this will be probably about 1 minute 20. I don't think it'll be a long trailer. I think it'll be pretty brief. 1 minute, 1:10, 1:20. But yeah, I think we'll get some cool shots of the Inquisitors, and it'll just be mostly, Kenobi just in the desert and a few, shots of some spaceships and some eye candy. But I don't think it's going to be a long trailer.
Yeah, I would not expect it to be anything. Like I wouldn't expect like some 4-minute thing or something like that, But and then obviously the amount of time depends on what the pacing is too. Because if it's just like boom, 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 and it's 1 minute, you could put a ton in that.
Yeah.
But if it's Kenobi walking around in the desert, I mean, I'm super curious because it's one of those things where we've never had. We don't. How do you sell Obi-Wan Kenobi? I know that's like a lot of people just go like, well, you just sell it, but there has to be like a way that you do it. What is that? What's that going to look like? I'm very curious to see what they settled on about how you sell Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm thinking that really, he's a dry British guy, and that's so you could really have a funny moment like with him, with that dry sense of humor, or you really play on his history
Yeah.
of where he's at, and like the Darth Vader, the history with Vader, and that kind of stuff, and the legacy that he has.
Well, from the leaks that you've posted the past week or two, like it seems like it's a pretty serious show. Like, Jedi dying and hands getting chopped off. I think it's going to be pretty intense, and I don't think it'll be a comedic in tone. The series, obviously, we're going to get a few bits, but here and there. But from what you've posted, Jace, I think it's going to be a very serious, mature show.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. But also oftentimes when you have that amount of like tension and stuff, there are things that attempt to break the tension for the comic book audience, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see what the balance that has been struck. But with the talent involved on it, I am expecting the best.
And you are feeling confident about next Wednesday?
About the trailer?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I presented the facts, and the what they ended up being was we were hearing by the 10th, which really meant the 9th in the end, and then we heard the 9th, and we saw empirical evidence that definitely hinted at that being the accurate day, and then because we don't follow along well enough, it ended up being Disney Investor Day. So that's, I mean, putting that out there, it's just, that's letting everybody decide, like, that's what happened. And so do you think does the chat think that's a slam dunk? Like, that's what's happening? I tend to go, yeah, I feel like that's outside of somebody telling me look for it at 8 o'clock on whatever show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Outside of that, I mean, that seems to be as good of where there's smoke, there's fire as I can get, I think. And so I'm just being honest with every element of that, so that way everybody knows why I am saying that looks like it could very well be the date.
All signs point to we getting it on Wednesday, but time will tell. We hope for the best, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I personally think it's coming on Wednesday.
Yeah, I am with you there. And I'm gonna pull up my buddy Bestman Bolton's site again right here from a piece he did a couple of days ago, or on the 27th, I think it was. And is the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer imminent? And so that was that Maxine Park, who cuts the trailers, tweeted "Happy Friday, folks," meaning I think that they had it in. We heard it was rated at the same time that this had happened for the most part. And so when I'm looking at all of this stuff together, I feel like we are in Kenobi trailer country. It definitely feels like we are. So yeah. Star Wars Satan's all, sorry I'm late, I had evil stuff to do. Oh, of course you did. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah. So anyways, okay, what did Bespin say? Sorry, Bespin, I didn't see that until just now. They released the PS5 version of Jedi Fallen Order to get the studio used to systems and software of next gen for Jedi Fallen Order 2. Okay. So basically, I'm going to be coming over Bespin's house to play it because he has the system. And truthfully, I probably won't even play I'm probably going to show up like with a beer and I'm going to drink a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit. And every time you fall down, I'm going to be like, hey, stop falling in that hole. It's up there, man. Just jump up there and get it. Just
It's pretty
stop
far though,
falling in the
Chris.
hole.
It's pretty far. I think it's in Wales, so you got a fair hike to go if you want to.
Yeah. It's teleportation is no problem for me. Star Killer, this ain't your grandpa's Jedi, said in David Cross accent. Yeah, right. That's completely like where that kind of stuff ends up falling. I always felt like they should have had something that just made it like a one off. Like, how like Lucas had the original concept that the Kyber crystal was amplified your Jedi powers, your Jedi abilities, and whoever had that was like the chosen one. And I almost felt like they should have had something like that, and then they could break it at the end, to give it that one and done lore potentiality. But Darth Del Rio says, I think it's funny the outrageously expensive Star Wars hotel looks the most like Canto Bight, which was a commentary on Money and Creed. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that it doesn't look like anything Star Wars.
It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know. It looks like what somebody at Disney thinks Star Wars looks like instead of the people who make Star Wars making it. That's my read on it. And that when they have that captain in the blue face, I can't tell you how stupid that looks to me. It's funny when it's George Lucas. It's stupid when it's like, I'm the captain. It's like, oh, this really is a fun space adventure. Oh, I am. Yeah, that does not work for me. If that works for anybody, by all means, enjoy yourselves, spend your money, have a good time. But it does not work for me one bit. Nolan says, I love that we are in Kenobi season. What a time to be a prequels fan, right? I completely. One side note, Max had another subscriber to subscribe to for MSW. Thank you, Max. Max is out there shilling for me. Hey, you want to get where your destination is? You better subscribe, follow, and like the video and ring the bell, you jackass. And they're like, okay, I'll do it. Just please take me to the airport, lady. I just need to get where I'm going. But anyways, yeah. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars film. And it's a weird one. I agree, but it's like the Star Wars movie that, like, if I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna lay down and take a nap, I'm just gonna put something on, but I'm probably gonna end up watching it and not take the nap. It's the one that I would do that to. It's just the one that I just put on. And it's just like the one that I could watch the most. And so in a big way, I feel like that is what is your true favorite movie, is the one that you could just watch all the time. It doesn't mean it's the one I respect the most, or the one that is the most artful, or the one that everyone should strive to emulate at all times. It doesn't mean that. It just means that's my favorite one. And and I'm curious to see like Deborah Chow, who has done some very fucking good drama in TV over the years. I mean, Mr. Robot is incredible. Every episode of Mr. Robot's been incredible. And so for them, for her to be involved in this, and Ewan McGregor, who I love that movie, but Ewan McGregor is a way better actor than he ever got to be in Star Wars. So this is the opportunity to actually let Ewan McGregor to use his abilities in a Star Wars
show his talent in this show. I think he will really show how good of an actor he is, because he's incredible.
Yeah, he is. He's one of my favorite. He might be my favorite actor, not just because he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like I was truly a fan of Ewan McGregor from Trainspotting, because I love that book. That book was like, I love the book. So when the movie hit, I was like there first, and I was like, oh my god, everybody on this cast nailed this book. It was the only time in my life probably that I feel like a book nailed every component of it. I think it's because the book was written so close to when the movie was made, and that culture was still alive. So the performers got who they were playing. They knew those people. They knew what they were supposed to be, and the sense of humor. and so it was just on. The sequel to it, don't get me started.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The sequel was a mistake. Tried to have its cake and eat it too, with that little twist at the end. No, I just forget about it. But anyways, yeah. So when I remember in line for Return of the Jedi, Return of the Jedi special edition, and this guy from 20th Century Fox is showing up to the theater for some reason, and they're dealing with the action figures, and they gave us a ton of those Luke Jedi figures. No one showed up for it, by the way. No one showed up for the Return of the Jedi at all, and which was my favorite Star Wars movie up to that point, by the way, and and I'm just like, so I'm used to being with Star Wars when everybody's like, we're past it, but anyways, but the guy's like, hey, you guys ever seen Trainspotting? I'm like, yeah, of course. I read the book. I love it. And the guy's like, that guy's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm like, you're lying. He's like, no, he is. I'm like, no shit. And there was a Tower Records next door. And I remember he and I walked over to Tower Records and we're talking. And I found the split single for Nirvana and the Jesus Lizard. It was Jesus Lizard, yeah, but Pusso, I think it was called, and Oh the Guilt. Picked that up. And he was a cool guy. I wish I had kept in contact with him.
So when was this, like 97, 98 or some shit like that?
This was in 97, yeah. Yeah, this was in 97, right as the special editions were. Early 97. I think it might have been March. I believe Return of the Jedi was supposed to come out March 7th. Howard Stern's Private Parts came out along with The Saint. And that was enough for them to go, oh, we're going to pretend like Empire's still doing good, so we're going to push it. But in reality, they were like, it's not smart to go up against Howard Stern. So they pushed it back by. So I think it came out March 14th.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're coming up on the anniversary here, actually, pretty soon.
Coming soon, yeah. So yeah, that guy knew what was up. He
knew what was up. Yeah, and then really soon after that, it was officially announced, I think. And actually, I'm kind of curious. When was the cast of the Phantom Menace announced? I'm going to see if that exists anywhere. That's all. The Phantom Menace was announced in 1993. Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking. I remember there was an EW article. I used to save every magazine article, and it had like people we're hearing are in it, and it was like a Spanish soap opera star. I remember thinking she was smoking hot. I don't know if I would agree today, but back then I was like, she's smoking hot, and it said she was playing Lady Kenobi. Little did we know that there would be no Lady Kenobi, because Jedi are not supposed to get down at all. So that could not have been further from the truth, or from the line.
Jedi get down though. You can't stop.
Sure, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, if you're a Jedi and you're hanging out with Ayla Secura all day, you're telling me you're not going to work that angle. Obi-Wan never worked the Ayla angle ever. Come on. He's still a human.
I know, you know? I know.
But yeah, that Ewan McGregor motorcycle show was pretty fun. I'm not a big fan of reality TV, but that one was one where I would check in on it every now and then and be like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And I don't know if George Lucas bought him the motorcycle he used in the show, or George Lucas just bought him. But George Lucas bought him at the end of Revenge of the Sith, this really, really nice motorcycle.
Cool.
Yeah, and I wonder if I don't know if it was the one he used in the show or not. I can't recall now. But yeah, but there was I remember also, I don't know why I'm talking about Phantom Menace now, but there was this Star Wars Insider article, and it was like, yeah, we're doing casting and we're seeing like thousands of people for young Anakin, and that's when they announced he was going to be like 8 to 10 years old or whatever. And that's when I was just like, what? Oh, I don't know about that, but it allowed me to accept it. Like very early on, like what the show, what it was going to look like. So I had like a couple of years to figure this out. And I remember when I was like, Ewan McGregor being Obi-Wan, with the kid. I'm like, that sounds fun, sounds good. But unfortunately, we didn't really ever get to have that.
No.
We didn't really get to have any of the Obi-Wan with Anakin stuff for the most part. It's barely once they got to Revenge of the Sith, they're like, we need to do some fun stuff with them because it was just him bitching at Anakin and Anakin being a little bitch back.
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna go. Push the flashbacks pretty hard with Kenobi. I think we're gonna get a few good scenes with Hayden and Ewan together.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There, like I said, I don't. So what a Manhattan Beach source told me that they just filmed like a bunch of stuff. And I'm not saying it was just like random improv or something like that, but they filmed a lot for these flashback moments. And they filmed a lot of second unit of Ewan McGregor riding mounts out I'm guessing the Eope out in the desert and stuff. And so I think these moments are going to hit us as the viewer from Kenobi's perspective of he's just doing this thing, living his life, working this job that he has, and then boom, he's back in the Clone Wars. Anakin's not listening. He's not sympathetic. Something like that, like things like these like regrets and these little like glimpses, and but I also don't.
Memory.
Yeah,
memory pretty much.
Yeah, and he's just like, because I mean he's a guy who just has to be living in a sea of regret.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because when you really get down to it, it's important that everybody who cares about personal responsibility and becoming a better person acknowledges in that story that Anakin made his choices. Anakin is the one who made the incorrect life choices that fucked it all up. It's not Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan was not sympathetic. He was so by the book and such a snob that he had just no like heart. He just didn't understand how, and I think you could rationalize it because he grew up in that structure. So that structure was common sense to him, that you adhere to it. And to Anakin, it wasn't. Anakin did not have that constructed common sense. His psyche is very different than somebody like that, X-Wing says, I remember when Boba got a Jesus lizard up his nose. Yeah, it's all connected. We're all part of the same simulation here. And yeah, I can't wait to hang out with X-Wing. We're trying to schedule something. Eric, every time I see that Bigfoot, I laugh. Seeing the Batman tonight. Yeah, dude, I think you are probably going to like it. I won't go into yeah, I'll save it. I'll save it because I want to save it for the Batman show tonight. But yeah, let's just my son, we came home and my son was like, you know what, I'm really hungry, Dad. I didn't eat my candy, and can you just take me to get something to eat? And I was just like, yeah, we stayed out late. So after the movie, I taking my son out for driving, and he's like, so they made this Batman. How many Batmans did they make, Dad? We're going over. He's seen a lot of them, but we're like going over it and stuff like that. And he's like, so what you're telling me, Dad, is you like the first Batman pretty much, and then you don't like one for a long time, and then you like what? I'm like, yeah, there's pretty much like 10 Batman movies, and I like this one, and I pretty much am okay with some, and then I like this one. So yeah. So anyways, though, there's a lesson there for Star Wars fans. I like Star Wars a lot. Star Wars overall has, under Kathleen Kennedy, has made me happier than Warner Brothers has made me with Batman. And as a kid, Batman was up there. Batman was never Luke Skywalker for me, but he was pretty fucking close at times, especially when you get to like 89 era, like from like 87 to 89. Luke Skywalker wasn't doing anything. He was being the Elephant Man on Broadway. I wasn't going to Broadway to see him as the Elephant Man. Yeah. And so it was Batman. And but I have to say, Kathleen Kennedy has done better than Warner Brothers as far as I'm concerned. But Warner Brothers did something right in hiring Homeboy, I think. I would love to see him do Star Wars someday. But yeah.
So when you said like Kenobi's got like a job, I'm just picturing like being like a bartender or some shit, like a waiter, like serving drinks or some shit like that.
Yeah, I more on that later. Okay,
More on that later.
we'll get to that later.
As long as it's not a bartender or a waiter, then it's all
yeah, good. Yeah. I'll tell you off stream. All these other people are gonna have to wait for now because yeah. I don't want to because it'll just someone will just quote tweet it and turn it into their own thing, and then
I
I'll lose
didn't know.
it.
Yeah,
So.
I didn't know it was a spoiler.
Yeah, it is though. I promise. Mark Hamilton says if the Clone Wars flashbacks go down storm, which they hopefully will do you think we could get live action Clone Wars series? Maybe even do the episodes that never got finished. I mean, do I think that they would do something so right? I don't. Do I think that they would give us exactly what we want? Probably not. I mean, maybe. I mean, but look at we got Kenobi out, right? I feel like we forced Kenobi out. Like we were like, you have to do this, and they were like, they're demanding it, and then they did it. I would love that personally, and I'm hoping that after this show they see there's nothing wrong with the prequels, or if there is anything wrong with the prequels, it was George Lucas not delivering on expectations that were set or not meeting expectations that were anticipated at the time. But what we end up with is something that is very much Star Wars, and they could make all of it better. I believe Kenobi is going to make the prequels better. I think Kenobi is like I think people will be able to forgive the prequels for some of the things that it didn't do for them that they were demanding it should have done. And like, so at the end of the day, the prequels in a way become supplemental material for this, which is what people wanted. And I love that idea, but the idea that we know what happens to Obi-Wan and Anakin here, and we know everything what happens. We know the eventuality of all of it. But in the Clone Wars cartoon proved that you can know that eventuality, but then you bring in a character like Ahsoka, and you have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying that they could do it again, but there could be another Ahsoka type style character we never saw in the Clone Wars cartoon that's in the live action that she just that person just didn't apply. But we don't know their fates. And when new characters come in, we don't know the fates of the new characters. And that's when you start to have stakes. It's when the stakes get raised. That's when things start to matter again, in my opinion. And I would love if they did that. I mean, I would love if they did a Clone Wars movie that was just about one battle or one thing that happened, and it doesn't necessarily it could have ramifications for the relationship if they want to go there. It could make that stuff, they could play into that more if they need to, but I do feel like that stuff's going to be really set. But you could have a movie where they're just fucking heroes. Yeah. I mean, like I don't Batman versus Superman's a bad choice to pick for this, but a movie like Batman versus Superman, everybody wanted it because it had Batman and Superman in a battle, right? Well, and that's kind of what this is in a weird way, in a strange way. But you could have the Batman and Superman movie, Anakin and Obi-Wan movie, where they're just doing something that's another story. And I would love it if they did. I think it would be fantastic. It would be wise, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see too, like what happens when they do these High Republic stories. Like, because the High Republic stories is the first time that they're kind of branching out. They're like, they're moving away from the classic Star Wars.
Yeah.
And if Solo, I like the Solo movie. I think it's very much a functional Star Wars film. It didn't need to exist. It didn't ultimately enhance anything. It didn't ultimately.
Agree.
It just was a fun movie. I enjoy it, but it didn't really do. It didn't. We didn't need it. And so I'm a little bit like, just because you go back to something that everybody knows, because something familiar is used, that's not a success story every time. And we've seen that, right? So they bought him a Ducati. Okay. I don't even know what that is, but okay. I really loved the performance and House. Yeah, that was good. Joe, they used a special off-road BMW touring bike for the first show. Okay. Okay. Seeing Batman at 5:30. Yeah, oh yeah, and so is my buddy Eric Denton. Yeah. You're seeing it at 5:30 Eastern. That might be when Rob is seeing it. I haven't heard from Rob today, I don't think. And so Rob said we were going to do that Batman show today, and I didn't know if we were even going to do this show today. I was like, oh, we'll see what happens. But so Rob is seeing it. So, anyways, point being, come and join that Batman show tonight. And as soon as Rob lets me know what time he can be home and we'll be free, I'll queue up the Batman show and we'll talk about it. So Darth Del Rio says Star Wars Insider had all the info back in the day. Yeah, it did. It did. There came a point with Star Wars Insider where what was happening was they would ship the issue out and it would hit like one part of the country, like bam, immediately, like right away. Then that person who got it would go onto the message boards or whatever and be like, oh, here's everything in the issue that's important. And people are like, okay, I don't need to buy it. And it, and that's the nature of the beast. I've never understood why Star Wars Insider wasn't a website and a magazine, and as the articles become available, if you're part of it, then it would still get out, but you would still be paying for it to have like the on the spot access. I never understood why they kept like the digital copy in that. Maybe it's just really hard. I have to assume that they're doing their best, and they probably thought this and probably got it shot down for some reason. But yeah, it would just be so much cooler if I had the Star Wars Insider app and with it on there and it was constantly hitting, and then I got the hard copy for my collection for my records. I would appreciate that if they did that, but it's still a good magazine. It's still a good magazine worth subscribing to if you're a Star Wars person. Like, I'm not saying it's like junk or whatever, but I do miss when like Rick McCallum would come and give the updates on the production and like that insight and stuff like that.
Those were the days, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, one of the best issues ever was that issue with the Darth Maul on the face, just the Darth Maul's face on the cover.
Yeah.
And I remember the McCallum update, and it was so good. X-Wing says, well, I mean, I'd like it to be closer to what happened in the EU, where he's working on the evaporators at his house and trying to fix his shack up. Oh, buddy, his shack. Oh, well, he's living in a cave here, buddy. The expanded universe stories are a bit more rooted in what had come before, based in, Kenobi has a house. Yeah, so he has a house. He has like that kind of thing, that kind of stuff right here. No, he's not. He does not become the guy that we know in A New Hope. Whenever they've written Kenobi in that time, they've always written him as he's the guy from A New Hope, because that's who he is now. But no, he's going down, and then he's going to come up, and he's going to rise up to the guy that we know, to the guy who's just like, because Alec Guinness's performance has a fuck it all attitude to an extent. You know what I mean? Like, he's a little bit like he's resigned himself to, what you must do, what you feel is right. Of course, he's not forcing anything. He's very much the dude. He's kind of going with the flow, but he knows it's going to work out. I think he knows it's going to go that way. But so this guy is the guy who's coming off of a very bad time. That's from what I understand. Star Wars Insider is like reading news from 6 months ago. Yeah, that's what my critique of it, like when we were doing the Kessel toy run, which we were getting toys for hospitalized children. That meant the world to me. I loved doing that. That made all of this, everything worth it. And they covered it in there, and that was nice. Like, that I appreciated like so much. So I'm always going to be thankful for that from them. On the flip side of it, there is a kind of a stuff where it's like, here's Bob making his sandshell Star Wars necklaces, I'm being over the top, but it's like, kind of don't care. There comes a point you go to one Star Wars celebration. Anything you're going to write in that magazine, I experienced going to one Star Wars celebration, and I kind of get. And I understand though. I understand like the marketing angle, featuring fans in there gets the word out, and you want to have some culture.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, but people who are going to read a magazine, like what Dan Madsen did with it back in the day. He did the Back to the Future fan club, the Lucasfilm fan club, and Star Wars Insider, the first iteration of it, I believe. And like, you want insight, you want your fluff piece from the actors saying they're all family, but talks about the time that he shit his pants on set in the Chewbacca costume he wasn't supposed to have on, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you want that kind of like, oh, that's interesting to me as a Star Wars fan. But then you also want like the deep insight and maybe some concept art and like, like making of. I mean, I feel like in a weird way, it's been turned into something that's not about the behind the scenes of Star Wars, and that's what I want from it, and it to be timely as well, as Mark Hamilton points out, But X2 says the prequels are biblical for me. Yeah, me too. They really are. I love them. I really do. Warts and all, Mark Hamilton says, "Isn't that exactly what they're doing with Omega?" What's that? I'm sorry, I lost the thread here now. Yeah, Luke Skywalker is a great Joker, but yeah, if Kenobi sucks, I'm burning down Disney. No, don't do that. I can't condone that. X-wing, and somebody will take you seriously and report you to the feds. The Star Wars feds are going to come knocking on X-wing's house. Yeah, is there a Mr. Wing here? And they're going to put you in cuffs and take you away. But I do not believe Kenobi is going to suck. I believe Kenobi is going to be the one thing that they get right. If there was only one thing, I think there's a lot more than one thing. But every single aspect of Kenobi that I have ever heard of has been completely on. And the only thing that I went, about was Leia. Because that I hate that so much may be riding on a child again. Jake Lloyd is so messed up what happened to him.
Yeah.
The way he was treated. And then his mental illness is overlooked just to make him sound like he's a kid from Different Strokes or something, who just can't not party. Like, he was a good kid. He did a good job in the movie, and ultimately people didn't like parts of what he did. I actually thought he was affable. I liked him, but people were like, that was on George Lucas. That was on the writing. That was on the director. And I feel like we may be in a situation where if the little kid who's playing Leia isn't the most likable character in the world, you're going to be like, well, if this wasn't Princess Leia, would I care? That's where I'm at with it when I hear about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just hope they don't, attack the poor young
kid.
girl.
Yeah.
That's just horrible, man.
Yeah,
no one wants to see that bullshit, man.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That has no place in society.
Yeah, no, it's fucking it's candy ass. And but where I'm going with it is that it, before she's captured, it's very much like her with her family. So if people get the juxtaposition, I think it's fine. I think that people will be completely fine with when we're seeing the juxtaposition of Leia to Luke Skywalker's lives. What the difference is about how wildly different they are. If for whatever reason that's lost in the pacing, in the edit, or the directing somehow, then I'm afraid that they're going to be cruel to the child, and to the fact that, oh, you made Princess Leia boring, and oh, dude, what is this? The kind of thing, and Star Wars fans aren't necessarily fair. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
I hope that bullshit doesn't happen.
Yeah. Mark Hamilton says, I mean, Omega, the Bad Batch season 1 feels like a Ahsoka Circa, the Clone Wars movie. Yeah, I agree. I would even say she feels a little bit better. I feel like they did it a little bit better, but there's definitely what I call, not that I coined the term, but the Pollyannish attitude where it's just like, oh, it's just like, it's so earnest that it's like kind of cringy. And yeah, that's what happens when you try to make new Luke Skywalkers. Like the fact that Luke Skywalker works is I think it's a testament to Mark Hamill's personality, to just how likable that dude is. Mark Hamill's like the Dave Grohl of acting, as far as I'm concerned. It's like you can do some pretty bad stuff, but I still love you, Dave Grohl. And but Mark Hamill is pretty fucking cool. Mark Hamilton says, best thing out of Solo for me was Enfys Nest, and I want to see more of how the rebellion formed, which makes Andor pretty exciting. Yeah. I'm hoping that Enfys Nest turns up in Andor or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I'm glad that the actress who played her is in Willow now, because I think she's pretty fantastic. I love Green Knight. I know a lot of people don't like. I feel like every time I hear about Green Knight, people are like, "Oh, I don't know. It should have done this. Should have done." A Green Knight for me was fucking perfect.
Slow burn, yeah. No,
I loved it though. It completely worked for me. I was all about it, and yeah, but she was
cool, she's good in that role.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I liked her in that part. She has like a. I like what I like about her too is that, like, you could just get a beautiful actor from a fucking Kmart ad. Finding a beautiful woman or a beautiful girl or whatever to be in a part, easy peasy. You know what I mean? Target, go open up the Target page, you'll see you could just do that. But finding somebody with that has a high level of beauty, but also like is interesting looking and then has personality, like that's not very easy. And that's where I'm like, why are you guys not developing this person in Star Wars more? But I guess it probably has more to do with the fact that we haven't had a lot of that era explored since Solo. And the Kenobi series doesn't really have a lot of reason to come into contact with her, I don't think. So will we see the rebellion in Kenobi? That's a very good question. I am going to defer for now just to the concept art where they showed the rebellion. They showed airspeeders and stuff, so I think that's kind of a giveaway. The Kenobi book by Jonathan Jackson Miller is gangster. Yeah, it is. It was. I think it was a really good read when it came out, and very small stakes, very very small world. Excuse me. And but I think that with that was no shade to Jonathan Jackson Miller whatsoever for the book. This Kenobi series was fucking in development for quite a while, and it had a lot of time to really gestate and to figure out what works. I actually kind of like that, to be honest. I'll send you a DM. I need to be enlightened. Okay. Mark Hamilton said, should do the toy run again this year. Got a bunch of L channels who would cross promote it. That's true. Yeah, I'll talk to Brandon and see what he thinks. Like COVID is. I mean, I had all of that drama bullshit, which just made it bad, and thanks to that, but then COVID hit too, and
it's put a spanner in the works, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but COVID hit too, and then so it's like you can't really bring toys to, you know what I mean? It's just not really something that you can necessarily do in that environment. But I would love to pick it up again, and I'm not sure if this year it would be like the right time with still being in the pandemic. But I definitely, if Brandon has the energy, I definitely want to talk to him about doing it, getting it back for the year after the pandemic when it's a lot less. I mean, because I also have to remember too that Brandon did so much of the heavy lifting on that, and he's a full-time nurse in the children's ward of That guy's a true hero, like true fucking hero. And but so that adds like a lot to his life, a lot of public service he has to do on his side and stuff like that. And so he may need a little bit of a break after the last this COVID thing that he's been on too. You know what I mean? Because he's had a pretty rough
few years,
couple years. Yeah, I mean, but I would love to do that because that is the most good that I think we can do with our fandom is I mean, bringing Star Wars the love to children, and I think it's the best. So Bestman says, all I've heard is that Vivian Lara Blair is very good in the role. Yeah, that is the word, Bird. Is that she's good? They didn't just get some slouch to play Princess Leia. So I want to make that clear too. My whole thing is that it, like, you know, what I'm curious about, and what I hope doesn't happen, and what I am curious to see is if people for some reason end up disliking Princess Leia in this context because Luke has it so bad. So like I feel like there's like a weird balance where they have to make it where she and of course when you just pay attention for 1 second, Leia goes on to devote her life to democracy and crushing imperialism. And she even at the end of it, that's like how, like, so you would be really stupid but sometimes Star Wars fans are so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Not you guys. You guys are cool. But we cannot act like sometimes like the fandom just does not have a fucking box of rocks for a brain, because it definitely happens, you know. And but I don't. And once again, this is me putting my anxieties based off of what I've heard. I'm not saying that's what it is. No one is saying this. No, this is me going, so she has a mummy and a daddy who love her. Okay, she's going to she has special school. Okay,
where you're coming from.
She lives in the Swiss Alps. Like, she sounds like an asshole. You know what I mean? But she's, you know, she's way more than that.
And then Luke can't even get a toy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Luke can't even get a T-16 or some shit.
Yeah.
So Mark Hamilton says, if the usual rage baiters go after VLB, I think they're fair game to be called scum. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think so too. They're kind of they're kind of weird. Like you know, like, remember how they were going after the Mandalorian, and then it was big, and then they realized that they couldn't beat that, they couldn't spin that into something, so then they were okay with it. Then they just started like making up stuff. I feel like Kenobi kind of I'm probably wrong. They'll probably find some way, but and then don't forget the kid. If it's not your Star Wars, yeah, don't target the kid if it's not your Star Wars. Exactly, and that's ultimately too where I fall on this Kenobi series. Like let's just pretend the Kenobi series comes out and it's trash. It's just Book of Boba Fett, like, with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And they're just like, okay, this is them now. This is what they do. It doesn't ruin Revenge of the Sith for me. It doesn't. It can't take anything from what exists. It could only add to. That's that's my take anyway. I guess maybe that's a perspective though. And then Rick Jones says, forgot to watch Green Knight. Green Knight, like, guys, it's not a fast movie. Don't go in expecting it to be like
action
boom, boom, boom. Yeah, expect it to be like, you know, in a weird way. It's without spoiling the movie outright. He is not perfect. He's a bad knight, and that's the thing. Is people? I think some people were expecting to go in seeing this heroic tale of chivalry. No, you're watching somebody who's bad at being a knight, and that's why I love it. Because also, like, the end takeaway from the whole thing is you strive for your ideals. You're not your ideals. You're not. You strive for them, and that is, I think the value in that story, and that's why I like it. You know, because everybody falls short sometimes. Rick Jones says, "Wish I could have seen it in the theater. Too dangerous at the time." Yeah, I completely respect the fact that you didn't. Me and my son were picking up to-go food And I went over and it was starting in like 10 minutes or something like that. Went and looked, and every seat in the theater was available. And
nice.
I was, and I had to buy like the premium theater with like the reclining chairs and shit. And there was nobody was down to go. And it was like, yeah, let's go. We were like the only people in the theater. And I was like, okay, I feel good. I feel okay about this. I'm like, this is less dangerous than going to the grocery store. I got to do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. So that was one of my only outings.
Yeah.
Last night though, seeing Batman in the theater was weird. It was, I felt a little bit like I gotta take a shower. I'm not exactly a germaphobe, but I am a little bit of a germaphobe. I'm not like extreme, but I have a little bit of that in me. And after going to the theater, I was just like, oh, this feels weird. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But I looked at our numbers, and it's it's as good as it's gonna get. That was kind of my takeaway. We're all vaccinated now, and I'm like, you know what? This is why we got vaccinated, so we could go see Batman, but we're not going to go out to a restaurant, and we're not going to go back to normal after Batman. Yeah. We're going to take this calculated risk. And but it looks like we are on the tail end of things. I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed that we don't go and make a new variant that is somehow brings us back to step one again. But we are going on our third year now, and that's about what it takes for these things to naturally burn out, even without mitigation. Classically, anyways, from what I hear. But yeah, and so, dude, if you end up being awake tonight, or whatever time it ends up being for you, I'm bad with the time right now, and you wanna jump on the Batman show when we go to do it, just by all means, I'll send you the.
I'm not at work because I don't know what time 7 p.m. is for you guys. Like it's crazy, crazy hours. But if you send me a message and I'm home, I'll definitely jump.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's gonna be at about 6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're at work then.
Yeah,
but
I'll be at work.
Probably. Yeah, I think it's about 6 to 7 hours away from now. So, but the minute that I know when it's going to go live for the people who care about watching the Batman show tonight, I will schedule it ahead. So if you have notifications on this channel, you will get the notification that the Batman show is coming on at whatever time. And yeah, me and Rob are just gonna hash it out, get into the Batman because I know if we don't, the next 5 shows will just be Star Wars, and then they'll become the Batman show every single time. So we got to get it all out.
Get it over and done with.
Just gotta throw it out, get it all out. But yeah, and always, Chris, always love hanging out with you, dude, and appreciate you coming on today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's always nice to hang out with somebody who I know loves Star Wars as much as I do. Yeah, whenever I'm having a day where I'm like, you know what, I don't want to think about Star Wars at this moment. I want to recharge my battery a little bit. I know I'll come back from a message from Chris and they'll be like, hey, I got this idea about Star Wars. And I'm like, this guy loves Star Wars as much as me. like, it's true.
I'm a nerd. Geek.
It's true though. And yeah, and thanks to everyone who's a channel member. Thanks to everyone who is a Patreon supporter. And thanks to everyone who contributes to the show through super chats and that kind of jazz. I really, really, truly appreciate it. And we will be live again tonight to talk about Batman. Chris, if you end up making it, if you're at work, I understand. If you're not, I hope to hear what you think about it, about all your thoughts and stuff like that, 100%. And yeah. And if anybody else is seeing Batman today, come to the show tonight and hang out with us and share your thoughts and let me know what you think and if you agree, because I have very particular Batman taste, and so I imagine people will hate it. Will hate my takes on Batman at times, but it's true. I'm just honest with it. But yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow at tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and make sure you like the video and all that jazz. Yeah, and subscribe to it and have the notifications on. That is super appreciated. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
It's not about spaceships. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.